If you're anything like me, you want to become an ethical hacker or a hacker whatever, and you don't know where to start. Today, we're going from zero to hacker. That's what this video is going to be all about. My mentor gave me strict instructions to watch videos on ethical hacking only, then take that information and do hands-on lab training with free labs, TryHackMe, or any other labs that I can create my virtual lab, to take notes on everything and to make sure that I learn the command line, both for Windows, Mac, and Linux OS. So let's become hackers together the right way. The first thing you're gonna learn in any ethical hacking course is gonna be the art of recon, and you can have passive or active recon. Here we have a virtual lab, and I got a Windows machine which is gonna be vulnerable, and our target machine, and then the Kali machine. Over here, we're gonna just use the nmap command, and that's gonna be able to perform our first scan of the target. Let's look at the nmap help menu to look at all of the options that we're using for our first scan. The command nmap-h will list out all of the different options. In this particular scan, we use -sv to scan for all open ports and services, as well as -f for a fast scan. Now, let's look at another option right here. The output option will allow us to perform a scan and output the results into any kind of format that we want. We'll use script kiddie format for this example. It's the same command that you used before, but you just add -os, O for output, S for script kiddie, and then you just output it to whatever file. We'll call this one target results.txt, and after the scan is finished, it'll output the results there. But we can also list in our home directory, or whatever directory we outputted it to, the file right there. And if we use cat, or let's use nano, or whatever text editor you would like to open the text file, you could see that the text has changed from that normal text to kind of this script kiddie text, which is definitely different and definitely kind of cool. Now let's switch gears and take a look at our other type of recon, which is called passive recon, with our first tool, Shodan. Shodan is a powerful search engine that you can use to gather OSINT information, or otherwise known as open source intelligence. And this search engine is so powerful because with the right syntax, you can find devices on the internet that are allowing remote administration. Now let's take a look at another passive recon technique known as Google dorking. What few know is that if you provide Google a few particular keywords and operators, you can extract different kind of information, and possibly even sensitive information. The most interesting thing, and the only thing I was able to do really by using Google dorking, was to find unsecured webcams like this one. It even allowed me to control it. But be careful what you find out there. I thought I seen something on one of these times. And make sure you know what you're doing, because I was trying to find a list of these URLs to use, and I think I downloaded some kind of virus right there. But here's the list, and if you want it, I can share it with you as well. Now let's take a look at exploitation after we scan the target. And this exploit is something that you can do when you have physical access to the target, or even remotely if you can deliver the payload, because that's what this tool is. It's MSF Venom, which is a payload generator, and you can generate malicious payload. And what I'm looking at here are different kind of encoders and how they're rated. And we got two that are rated excellent. And you'll see how powerful this is in just a second, because when you encode your payload, now you can obscure it from any kind of antivirus and make it that much harder to be detected by antivirus and even security admins. If you're following along, the first thing you need to do is to select our payload, which I'm doing here. Let's use the Windows interpreter that communicates over TCP, so that it looks like normal TCP traffic. Next step is to create your listener. So you're going to select lhost as your IP address from the Kali Linux or your attacking machine, as well as the L port, to set up a listener to listen to connections for that IP address on that specific port. Now let's obscure our payload with the encoder that we found, Shikata Gai Nai, which in Japanese literally means there's nothing you can do about it. And then we're going to use -I option for iterations. How many iterations of this encoder? We're going to put 10 iterations. That's a little overkill, but it's just for demonstration purposes. And then we're gonna put the format with -F of exe of what type of file, and then we're gonna name the file. Now, you didn't have to name it novirus.exe. You could have just named it something like sysinfo or something like that, so that it looks like a similar service running if somebody does happen to catch that it is running in the background. Now, the command I just used was hex editor, and then I put the file name of that malicious file that we just created. If you notice, you see a string with just random information right there. That has nothing to do, that's the malicious code that's running. So what you can do is, to obscure that, you can change the hex values, and as you see, it's changing that malicious part of the code that's being detected by the AV. This can help you evade the AV. Now, with both of these techniques that I showed you, you should be able to create a malicious file that if you put it on VirusTotal, you should be able to see those numbers start going down as it's being detected less and less by different vendors. Now let's move on with exploiting our Windows machine. Alright, so the first thing you want to do is to use exploit multi-handler. This is going to be in Metasploit. You're going to have to fire that up, of course. And then once you get into this subsection, you're going to have to enter those same options or the parameters, whatever, that you entered into that MSM Venom file. So you're going to use the same payload so that it knows to use the same one, which was that Windows x64 interpreter reverse TCP, so that it looks like a TCP connection. And then you also want to set the L host. The L host is going to remain the same, the IP address of your attacking machine. The L port is going to remain the same one that you built that file with. You have to build this listener for the attack on your attacking machine so that it can all work together. Here, if you do show options, we see that the L port is configured with the default of 444 that Metasploit uses. So you have to change it to whatever you put into your file. We used 8000. So now, if you run show options again, yours should look similar to that. All right, the command exploit, and then if we do -J and -Z, we'll run this exploit, or it'll exploit it in the background. To see if anything's running in the background, just use jobs. As we can see there, we do have the exploit running in the background, but there is no connection. While our attack machine is waiting on the connection, we can go to the target machine, go to that specific malicious file, make sure we run it as administrator, and almost immediately you see the connection, the reverse shell that we have using interpreter, and we're able to exploit it. And now we can start working on some post exploitation tags. We can view our sessions with the sessions-I command. And if we want to join a specific session, we can use the session-I, and then whatever specific session, we only have one here, so we would put that ID of 1, and then we would just click enter, and that will launch us into that specific interpreter session that we have on our target machine. Now at the interpreter prompt, we can assure ourselves that we are on the target system by running the command sysinfo. I don't know about you, but for a beginner hacker, that command is a snooze fest. So I went over to the help menu, and I found that they do have like a keylogger. So if you use keyscan_start, that's going to start sniffing on the keyboard. And then I just simply opened up Notepad on the target machine. And then if you do a keyscan_dump, it will output all of everything that was being typed out there. So that was pretty interesting. So I wanted to step it up and test it out even more. So I decided to go to just randomly put facebook.com and just put in some random username and then a random password, while the interpreter session was still sniffing out all the keystrokes. And then I ran the same command again, and there you go, joeblow.com, and then the password, you could tell that it's going to be yo mama. I mean, you can figure that out because the username is going to be the email address. But that's just one thing that I found that was very interesting by using that command. This is definitely the beginning if you're trying to go from zero to hacker. But let me know in the comments, number one, if you learned anything. If you liked it, please like the video. Also, what would you like to see more of? I got Wi-Fi hacks, I can do Wireshark, we could do a snort lab, whatever y'all want to do. I've even tried to backdoor a MacBook. If you guys want me to, I got videos on that. Or evil limiter, kicking people off like I mentioned before, and limiting their bandwidth. Y'all let me know, and I'm gonna holler at y'all on that next video. Peace.